I'm Todd for G66. Welcome to another Tuesday Tone Tip. On today's video, we're taking a look at the phaser block in the Axe-FX3. I want to share some of my favorite phaser types in here and also offer up some cool tips for getting some extra control over the phasers. To get started, I've got my old Strat plugged straight into the Axe-FX3. I have the Brit AFS 100 number 2 dialed up. I've just brought the drive down a little bit and the bass up a little bit because I'm playing a Strat. I'm using good old LT TV Mix 7 as my cabinet IR, as you can see in the preamp tab. Standard stuff for me, low cut at 80, high cut at 8K, and we have a little bit of the studio reverb type in here. Let's just hear the core tone before we get started. Nice and dirty, which is just the way I like it. To get started, I want to show you my personal favorite phaser setting in here. You can see that I'm running the phaser block in front of the amp, the way you would use an old school phaser pedal. And I grew up playing an old MXR Phase 90 pedal, and I always default to this script 90 type whenever I want a phaser tone as a starting point. It's a classic. You've heard it everywhere when it comes to rock guitar playing. Basically, the only parameter that is super important on here is the rate control. I like to turn it down quite a lot. So there's about 0.4 hertz-ish. It's not going to be super wobbly, but what it's going to do is just introduce some subtle movement to my playing. And this is something that I would use to spice up a rhythm guitar part or as a character tone on a solo. So let's hear it without and then with. It's so much fun and it's totally addictive. You will notice that on here, I've turned the overall mix up to about 60% and I've boosted the level by 6 dB. What I remember on my old Phase 90 pedal was that when you turned it on, it kind of sounded like it gave your amp a little bit of a boost. So that is super easy to simulate just by turning the level control up there. I personally would use this more on solos if I was playing live. You know, just chuck these settings in, and if I want something with just a little bit of movement on there to break up my guitar solos, I'm going to use this. I'll give you a very quick example of that now on the Ragdoll song, Rewind Your Mind. Next, we're going to take a look at the FAS vibe on here. This is not based on any real-world Univibe pedal, but it sounds every bit as good as some of the finest Univibes that I've tried in pedal format. I basically just like to set the rate to about 2 hertz, leave everything else where it is, and this gives me that instant Robin Trower Bridger size vibe, especially with a Strat and a Marshall style amp model. Amazing at the stock settings, but you can take it further if you've got an expression pedal. Let's right-click the rate, and I have my expression pedal plugged into an FC controller. So I'm going to select FC1 pedal number 1, and I will set the minimum somewhere around 0.2 and the max maybe around 6 hertz. This way, I can control the overall rate of the Univibe using my foot down here, which is the way a lot of Univibe pedals actually work in the real world. So we can go from a low rate to a very fast rate. I'll give you an example, and then we will hear it over a little jam track. We can take that idea of control on the rate and push in a slightly different direction. I have chosen the Ultra Super Mega Phaser, which sounds amazing on its own, but I have right-clicked the rate in Axe Edit and assigned the modifier source to be the envelope follower. So the basically intensity of my playing is going to control the rate on the phaser there. Let's just have a listen to what this sounds like, and again, we'll hear it in a track. Now you will have noticed that I've placed the phaser before my main source of distortion in the amp block for all of these examples. Like I said before, this is kind of the way I like to run the phaser. There is no wrong or right, but of course you can run it after the amp and the cab for a far more dramatic and pronounced effect. My favorite type to use on that is a stereo 8-stage phaser. And this is the sort of thing that I would use more if I was recording and I just wanted a really weird sound on a particular part. You know, if it was like a part of a song on a verse where you've got a vocal melody kind of covering everything, you want the guitar to just do something a little bit weird. I would do this. We'll hear the dry sound, then I will kick it in and just tweak the rate control again. I'm going to combine this with a rhythmic delay effect, and again I will use the Ragdoll song Rewind Your Mind in the verse just to give you a very quick example of what this can do. In the example you're about to hear, I'm using the expression pedal tied to the rate again. Thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any further questions about the phaser block or anything else in the Fractal ecosystem, let me know in the comment section below. If you have suggestions for future Tuesday Tone Tip videos, also leave a comment. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, and I will see you all next week for another Tuesday Tone Tip. Cheers.